I don't think I can explain how I feel about everything and how much I appreciate it. I'm very happy with the way that I've been as a person, as a player. There's obviously ups and downs in that period, and you have to take that. The only thing I can say is thank you.
Kevin, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us and review your career. We've had a lot of messages from fans since you announced that you're leaving, and they have suggested some clips for us to discuss. So we want to go right back to the beginning. When you joined us from Wolfsburg, City had started to win, but weren't necessarily the winning machine that we have been in recent seasons. Just give us a flavour of the kind of club that you joined back in 2015.
A club with huge ambition, a club that wanted to win, family club I would say, because it's much smaller than it was now. I would say personnel-wise, you know, I've seen it grow and grow and grow. So for me, it was give me a good feeling, and yeah, then they just persuaded me to come here.
Aguero, De Bruyne. Excellent finish for his first Premier League goal.
When you look at yourself on the screen there, obviously you look very young. You were 24 when you joined City. If you could write a letter to that person now, given what you've learned in the 10 years, all the experiences you've had in those 10 years, what would you say to that 24-year-old footballer?
To be honest, just do what you did. I'm happy with the way that my life went till here. You know, there's obviously ups and downs in that period, and there's success, there's failure, there's injuries, there's whatever, but you know, I'm not that kind of person. You have to take that, and I think also you learn from things that go hard sometimes, so you can't expect everything to go 100% all the time. So you know, I'm very happy with the way that I've been as a person, as a player. I would say I'm still a kind of old school football guy. I play on intuition, I play on creativity, on passion, and I'm happy with that. I know it's a lot of things that go around at the football, but for me, I'm a football player, and all the rest, you know, that's extra. And you know, also the older I get, the more I was just interested in playing football, and the rest is, you know, a second case for me.
In your first season, we won the League Cup and got to the semi-final of the Champions League. You were playing with players like David Silva, Vincent Kompany, Aguero, Toure, some really, you know, top and great City players. Was there a particular player who helped you settle in during that first season?
Well, I would say Vinny, because I think Vinny was the one who called me a lot of times during the summer when I was at Wolfsburg. Obviously, I knew him from Belgium, and it's easy to relate to, you know, because you have somebody who you know, who you can trust, plus he was the captain of the team, so it makes it a bit easier, you know, if you have somebody from the get-go to make my life easy. But to be honest, the team has always been good. I never had the feeling like, even with the big players that were here, that, you know, they were outside the group. I've always had the feeling in the 10 years it's been a really good group. So I would say it was pretty easy to come in, you know, so it helped.
In your second season, that was Pep's first, and obviously it was a bit of a transition period. There was a lot of players changed, and Pep was trying to kind of stamp his style onto things. What are your memories of how the culture and the ideology and the philosophy was changing during that period?
Well, I just think playing-wise it changed a bit. Not too much, because Pellegrini was also a ball possession coach. But obviously he wanted to implement his ideas, and then it took, I would say, I think we started well, and then there was a difficult period, and the end of the season was good again. So, you know, it was just new things that were coming, and we had some growing pains, I would say, during the year. But I would say the last part of the season was like the beginning of what would come after. So I would say it helped a lot.
At the end of that season, Pablo Zavaleta left City. He got an amazing send-off. You know, he had a really good relationship with the fans, just like you do. As a footballer, when you see that kind of thing, as a young footballer that you were then, do you look at that and think that's something to aspire to, and that's maybe something I want to achieve?
I don't think necessarily as a young player you look at that and say, I want to be there. You know, that's something that's, even if it's a really nice moment, it's not something you look forward to, I would say. But, you know, I think if you see these things, it's very nice to get the appreciation, because you give a lot as a player to a team. So it's nice to have some recognition back.
The third season, that's when things really started to move for the club and for yourself. There was one really important game that came kind of early in that season. We won 1-0 away at Chelsea, and you scored the winning goal.
To Bruyne. Oh, belter! Absolute belter from Kevin De Bruyne. There is no stopping that.
Pep once told me that was one of the biggest games for him, because it was the first time they'd beaten one of the really big teams, and I think he felt after that day that we were capable of winning the big trophies. Did you feel the same? Did that day shift something in kind of belief and mentality?
I would say the season before, when we played well against the big teams, but I think we barely won any. And I would say, you know, that game we fully dominated, even if we only won 1-0. But I think Chelsea was the title winner the year before. It was good to set a marker, but I think from the get-go we had a really good feeling about that season, and you know, it's probably ended up being the best season we've ever had as a team. So, you know, it was pretty special.
There was another special game in there as well, where we beat Stoke. You assisted a couple of amazing goals. It was a bit of a KDB masterclass, really. The assist for Leroy Sané stands out for a lot of our fans as just an amazing pass. Is that one of the greatest assists you've ever pulled off, do you think?
I don't know, you know. I think it's not all about, you know, the pass or anything. It's probably what I saw in the moment. You know, I feel like if I see a gap, like the skill of the pass is not exceptional, like playing wise. Is harder passes you can. I think it's probably just the combination of the gap, the running from Leroy. You know, it has to be precise, and you know, I would say it just works all really well together. But I would say skill wise it's probably not the hardest, but it's just, you know, seeing where Leroy is coming and playing in front of him, that makes him the ability to score in one touch, that makes it probably really good.
There was another game that season against Tottenham at home where we won 4-1, but you kind of destroyed them single-handedly. It was like a real statement performance from you. What are your memories of that particular performance?
That season is probably my best season that I ever had, you know. I just felt like, I don't know, especially the first 25 games till the league was over, you feel basically unstoppable. And you know what I felt at the moment, you know, whatever happens, we'll be able to win a game, and we did that multiple times, even 90-minute winners. You know, it's just that kind of momentum that I felt we had. And you know, like I said, for me that's the best season probably that we've played, you know. And it was exciting and it was dynamic and all that stuff, so it was really cool.
After this game against Tottenham, Pep said that you were making City a better institution. Do you feel that when you were playing, that responsibility to kind of raise standards of this football club and make us better?
I just wanted to be the best version of myself, and I push myself to be as good as I can be. And then I think eventually people go with that. And you know, if a lot of people push, there's a momentum going up. So I don't feel necessarily that I have to do that for other people, but if some people do it, people will join you because you have to. And then if somebody set that standard of being there, then you know the rest has to do the same. You know, it just gains that momentum together.
Forward by De Bruyne. Gabriel Jesus!
wins it with the last kick of the season. 100 records broken and broken again. Yes!
100 points. It's never been done before. Never been done since in 130, 140 years of English football. Do you think that will ever be done again?
Maybe, but it's very hard because obviously the year after we were close, and I think Liverpool were close once. But it's really hard because in the end, what can you do in like 38 games? You can only lose like 2 or 3 games and draw 2 or 3. So, you know, the consistency of just winning the games is really hard. And, you know, even in the end, we had to push hard to win these games. So I don't know if it happens, but at least it's incredible that we've done it.
Following season, we won the league again. In fact, we won all 4 domestic trophies. 198 points over 2 seasons. Mentally, how exhausting is that for a group of players to have to just to go again?
It's hard. It's it's hard to keep winning. You know, it's hard to push yourself. But I don't think it's even something we can explain, because I don't feel like people would necessarily understand, you know, what it takes sometimes to be an athlete. You know, the limits don't exist. The limit is the next limit. You know, you push yourself up and up and up till there's a moment where maybe it goes down a little bit. But then, you know, you see with this year, if you go down a little bit, it's, you know, it's like a big shock to everybody. And, you know, I think it's a good thing about sport. You know, you can't win all the time. And even if you want to, sometimes if you are a little bit less at you know, at this level, it's impossible to replicate. But I think it shows the consistency that we have done for so many years, you know, even with the 4 in a row where nobody did it, you know. There's a reason why that is, and it's just because it's really hard. And yeah.
That Liverpool side that pushed us so close, do you think without them the level we reached is possible, because they were pushing so hard?
If you don't have to, then you probably don't push yourself so hard. If you have somebody who's 15 points behind, you don't necessarily have to be near perfect to win the league, you know. So you need each other to feed off, you know, that competition side in you. And because we put the level so high in these first years, that the rest is coming now, you know, because they have to. You know, if they don't, then it makes it easier maybe for us. But, you know, that's sport, you know, people come back. It's the nice thing about football for me.
Your 5th season was the sort of COVID global health pandemic struck. I was just interested for you, you know, living in a foreign country, bringing up a young family, trying to be a professional footballer in such a strange time. How difficult was that for you, that period?
It was the first time in my life I could actually have a normal life, you know, and be at home and see my kids grow up.
Leg day.
Of course, you want to go and play football, but, you know, it's what it is. So I took the positives of it, you know. It was a bit hard because my kids wake up every day at 5. And my wife was pregnant at the time. But, you know, I think it was nice to see another side for us family-wise, you know, how we would maybe deal with different stuff.
Well, you won PFA Player of the Year at the end of that season, then again the following seasons. Did you actually think you kind of made the best of that situation, and it maybe helped you in some ways? And
well, I don't know. You know, I think at that period you try to stay fit. You try to enjoy different types of things. But, you know, I think from the beginning of the year I felt really good. I think the year before I had some injury problems, but that year, you know, before COVID, after COVID, it was just good. You know, unfortunately we didn't win. But yeah, for me, it was actually a really good year.
The champions of 2021 are Manchester City.
when season 6 we do win the league again, and we also get to the final of the Champions League. Obviously that final against Chelsea was very disappointing for the club, and also it was a difficult night for yourself.
And Kevin De Bruyne, sad way to end.
I can see the devastation on his face.
To be honest, I don't really remember too much from the moment. Obviously, I broke my nose and my eye socket, and I had a concussion. So, you know, I was knocked out in the game, and then obviously you switch quick, and then you don't really know what happened. Obviously, they took me off. What's obviously the right decision. But at that moment, you have no idea. So it's like, oh, what is happening now? I want to play. I feel all right. Then after 5 minutes in the dressing room, I came back out because I thought I was all right. And then I just saw stars going around. So I had to go to the hospital. So, you know, it's actually a bit weird, but it's not a nice feeling. But, you know, like I said, you have to deal with it. It happens.
You ended the season obviously a Premier League winner and won the Player of the Year for the second year in a row. I had the feeling around that time that you were the best player in English football by quite some distance. It wasn't even close. When you're in that mode, do you feel that? When you go out on the pitch, do you actually feel I am a level above my opponents?
No, not necessarily. I feel like, you know, the margins are so small at this level. You know, I'm never gonna go on the pitch thinking I'm far ahead. But I don't know. I always feel like I can make a difference. You know, no matter what I have to do, it can be different things. Doesn't mean scoring goals or assisting. Sometimes it's being smart play, sometimes being physical. You know, sometimes it's mentally. You know, some games you can switch mentally, get the team involved, the crowd into it, and, you know, you can feed off different things. And I think I was, you know, able also to block any stress out in the end of the season. Like I said, football is a game for me. I just try to do what I want to do, and obviously there's good outcomings and bad outcomings, and you deal with the bad ones and enjoy the good ones. But it doesn't really, I don't know, I don't really get like a bad influence from bad moments or bad games. You know, I take it as it is, and I don't really get too attached to it because I still try my best. I can't do more than that, so I take that out of it for me.
In season 7, we win the league again. Dramatic game against Aston Villa, but before that, it was a game against Wolves where you scored 4 goals. And I spoke to quite a few fans who were there that night who just said it was an absolute privilege to be there and one of the great individual performances they'd ever seen. What are your memories of that game?
I think before the game, I was speaking with Bernardo, and we were joking, and he's like, oh, well, we play like basically half false nine, whatever, and if you could just score 3 goals, Kev, and then it's good, you know, we win the game, I got a chance, and then obviously scored the 4, so we had a good laugh about that. But I don't know, you know, the game went really quick, and after half an hour you got 3 in the net. What basically only happened once in my life, so you know, for me that's not, you know, I'm not Erling where that happens all the time, but it was just, you know, you shoot on the goal and it just went in, and yeah, it's one of these games where it just, yeah, works out perfectly.
And on the final day against Aston Villa, you assisted the winner.
De Bruyne dancing into the area. De Bruyne back post. It's the title winner. It's Ilkay Gundogan. Is that the goal that wins their 4th title in 5 years?
Your involvement in that goal, it just feels like training ground stuff. Even though you're in the eye of the storm and one of the most pressured situations, you just do something that is kind of second nature to you. Is that what it's like? Are you almost in autopilot, even in those major moments?
I just think, you know, at that moment I did something where I'm good at and where Gundo is good at, you know. I'm good at putting that ball in that space, and Gundo is very good at doing that. So we read, well, we didn't read each other, but I couldn't really see who was at the second post, but I guess people know where I can put it on a thing. I think for me the most important was just the reaction, you know, the reaction of getting to that loose ball, and then everything just happened in a flash. It's not something I could think about. It just, you know, went with it, and yeah, luckily it was that.
Do you prefer winning the league on the last day in dramatic circumstances or wrapping it up early?
Well, it's nicer to win it in the end of the day, but it's also nice to have like 4 weeks in advance where you can just enjoy it. You know, you lose about 2 years of your life every time you do that. But the celebrations after are, you know, that was the best celebration of all the titles we won. Just, you know, the how it worked, being behind 2-0, winning 3-2. You can't describe it. I think everybody of us basically was there, and everybody has his own feeling about that, and it's just crazy.
The treble winners season, the ultimate achievement in football, the Holy Grail. For me, the defining moment of that season wasn't kind of Istanbul, it was in the Bernabeu when your goal.
Gundogan. Kevin De Bruyne! One of Manchester City's biggest players with one of the biggest goals of the season.
And your celebration afterwards and that emotion that you showed, that image really sums that season up for me. Can you just explain to us kind of why you were so emotional in that period and that celebration there?
Well, it's probably one of the best weeks and the worst weeks in my life that I ever did. I remember, I think we played on a Tuesday, and so my wife's grandfather, who's like really close to us, he was dealing with cancer. So obviously he was not really good, and a lot of the people already said goodbye. So I was basically the only one who didn't say goodbye. So on Sunday, I flew to Belgium, to say basically goodbye. So, you know, he was in really bad pain. Then on Monday I had to fly here, train in the morning, and then fly to Madrid. And then on Monday evening, I think he died. So it was really emotional time. And then obviously the next Sunday I had to go to do the funeral, where at the funeral of my wife's grandfather, my grandmother died, so I had to drive 5 hours, you know, to say goodbye to her. So it was an absolute mess, you know. I just played on pure emotion, no sleep, whatever, you know. There's that clip where I got angry with Pep, you know, in the Madrid game, because it's just, you know, I was all over the place, but, you know, I did what I had to do, you know, to play football, and yeah, that's the reaction.
Champions League winners of 2023, the treble winners.
What was the relief like at full time in Turkey? Because we did ride our luck a little bit towards the end. We'd obviously had disappointments in the Champions League before, but we got over the line. And what was your feeling?
Finally. I don't know. I think we played so many good games in the Champions League, and there's been a lot of, it's not heartbreak, but moments where we said, I think, like, oh, how is it possible we are not, you know, losing on away goals or last minute goals, and then, you know, these kind of things. And, you know, it was just finally, to be honest, I think we fully deserve it.
7 years to fighting with it.
I know the Inter game wasn't a great game, but, you know, I think if you see all the rest of the games, we played so good there. So, but obviously if you win it, it was just like, finally, thank God for that.
Like the Real Madrid, Bayern Munich performances, Arsenal, Liverpool, we destroyed them at home as well. We were the best team in the world by quite some distance during that period. It would have been cruel, wouldn't it, if we hadn't managed to win?
Yeah, but that's football. You know, I think when we lost against Chelsea also, we were better than them. But, you know, in 90 minutes, people can find a way, teams find a way to beat another team. And sometimes you have to accept it. Even, you know, it's not nice, but, you know, at least we got one.
De Bruyne runs up and hits it in.
Fine strike from Kevin De Bruyne. Game on.
I would say that you're going down as a Premier League great, and it's very rare actually that a player commands respect from fans of all clubs, but you seem to have managed that. It doesn't happen very often. Do you feel that in this country, in England, that you are respected not just by City fans, but actually by the wider sort of Premier League community?
Yeah, probably. Well, I think I had it at Everton now, you know, that they were clapping me. It was a bit weird, you know, because you don't expect it. People maybe appreciate the way that I play. I'm probably a very no-nonsense player, straight to the point. I think sometimes people don't like what I say, but I think they appreciate it because I just speak what I think, and what I think is my opinion, my truth. And I've always been that kind of person. If you know what I think, I'm honest. You know, it doesn't really matter if people like but at least it's the truth. So I don't really speak in riddles.
That's top quality from Kevin De Bruyne.
I think they see me as a football player. You know, I'm a football player. I like to play football. I like to be positive on the pitch. You know, it's straightforward to the point, and I don't know. Maybe they appreciate it. What is nice to hear, but if they don't, yeah, whatever. You know, I'm still happy.
How much have you changed as a player and a person, do you think, in the 10 years you've been in Manchester?
Well, probably a lot on some parts, and then on other parts, probably nothing. It's probably easier for other people to say. I think obviously I grow a lot. You know, I came here with no kids, got 3 now. One is already 9. So you will change. You know, you will change the way you are a bit, the way everything evolves. But then on the other side, I would say I'm still the same. But yeah, I'll let other people decide that for me, I guess.
Well, Kevin, you're going to go down as arguably City's greatest ever player, which is an achievement in itself. Fans have been with you every step of the way. What is your message to them?
The only thing I can say is thank you. You know, thank you for supporting me, supporting obviously the team, the club, supporting, I would say, my family, you know, my kids, everything around. You know, we've always been pushed. There's always been positive towards me, towards my family. You know, that's really important for me. And you know, it's weird because, you know, my family, it's home. You know, we've my kids are born here, and I don't know. It's just, I don't think I can explain how I feel about everything and how much I appreciate it. So I can just say thank you, and yeah, that's it.
Well, Kevin, thank you so much.